Thank you for tuning in to our after hours. I hope you guys enjoyed our show that you guys watched recently. But our after hours for Kind of Fake News here is we kind of unwind, just hang out. We get very unprofessional and we just kind of shoot the shit and have a drink or have a smoke and kind of resonate on what's going on right now. So we have Sarah Sanchez, who does our astrology piece during our show. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. And we have Jarrett LaCicero, who does our conspiracy theories, which, you know, our recent episode, it was more like conspiracy fact. How are you? Like, what up? Everyone's like eating, we're hungry. And I'm Selena Bryan. I'm your host. I do the holistic alternatives. And you know, we like to, during our regular show, kind of stick to a platform, but with our after hours, we kind of just talk like we're sitting in the living room with you guys. So please always like, share, comment, give us your feedback. What do you guys want to hear about? We constantly cover things: UFOs, COVID, energy, the universe, religion, you name it, we cover it. So
Alien.
I just want to start.
coffee.
What'd you say?
Where do you guys want to
drinking
start?
coffee?
And this isn't coffee.
Oh, I was gonna say.
What is it?
I'm all out of a refill. Babe, you're aware.
If I'm
So-
up past 11, I get like famished. I have to eat.
I know. My boyfriend's like, I made dinner and you've been on this podcast forever. Thank you. So we were kind of talking about earlier, and I thought it would be good, something good to elaborate on for our after hours. We were kind of talking about like smoking and vaping, and like I was talking about how, like, so Sarah, I know you switched from smoking to vaping, right?
Hmm.
And Jarrett, you switched from smoking to vaping, right?
No, I smoke and I vape.
You both.
I'm
So,
trying
and
to
now
get
we
into
smoke.
the
So-
full vape.
We kind of got the whole, we have the vapor, the smoker, and the smoker and the vapor. So that's actually a good collective to talk about it. So I figured, why not talk about it for an after hours? So of course I want to quit. I've done really good at cutting down. I hardly smoke. I'll go a whole day without having a cigarette. Sometimes when I'm really stressed, I'll just have one before bed. Or if I'm drinking on the weekend or something like that, I'll chain smoke. But I think I've gotten it really low to where it's not affecting me the same as it used to maybe like a decade ago, which you think would be the opposite. Being older, you think it would affect you more, but
Yeah.
I've tried to switch to vaping, but I got an upper respiratory infection as soon as I tried to do that, so I just gave up on it.
I find when I
Well-
go some days without smoking, like some days, like 4 or 5 days, even minimum vape use, and then I'll feel so good about not smoking. I'm like, man, I'm gonna smoke a cigarette, you know, and then I'll buy the whole pack, and then I have the excuse to smoke the whole pack.
Because you did so good.
Right, the
Reward.
little
You know what
dollars.
they say sometimes when you quit smoking, you can get sick from from your lungs detoxing, and you can get an infection and stuff from that. I've heard.
It kind of sounds like withdrawal from anything, right? Like it can never negatively affect your body just from the withdrawal effect from it.
Well, the detox part, right? Because the withdrawal's probably going to come before the detox hits.
Right.
But I know someone, her husband had COPD, and he got really, really sick when he quit smoking. He got like infections and everything from it all. It all comes up essentially and wants to, clear out.
Maybe
Which is why I want to quit soon, because it's like the older you get, the effects of the detox are way worse on your system. So my resolution for so many years, and with me being someone who does holistic alternatives, you would think that I would have quit by now, but everybody
Right.
has
about
says
harm
I gotta
reduction.
keep it.
People would all say to me like, "Oh, you eat so healthy, you take all these vitamins, and then you smoke," and I'm like, You got me there.
Yeah. I can't really blame anybody. All you non-smokers, you can shun me all you want. I deserve it. Like, everyone has their thing. But like the way I look at it is it's an addiction. Everybody has their addictions. Everyone has different addictions. There's people with addictions that don't even consider themselves having a type of addiction. You could have an addiction to TV. You could have an addiction to working out. You can have addiction to food. You could have addiction to sweets. You could have addiction to needing to be in a social setting and not knowing how to be alone with yourself. Like the spectrum of things that you can be addicted to in this life are endless, but no one likes to look at themselves as having an addiction unless it's something hardcore. You know what I mean?
Those self-imposed limitations, right?
Right.
Right.
Is addiction a disease that one is born with?
And that's also something that's very controversial.
Well, okay, so something that Greg Braden, a newer I've been learning a lot of newer. I've been newly coming into like a lot of the things that he talks about and the research that he does. And what they found is that, like, they say we have all this junk DNA, but it's not really junk DNA. It can be turned on or off by
Vibration.
Your vibration, your intention. If you were aware of the power that you hold over your body, over everything in your experience, I think we'd be really shocked to know exactly how much power we have. And it's something I've just been, just learning a lot, not really trying to implement as much, but just kind of absorbing information. I find it fascinating. But yeah, they say there's all this DNA that there's these monks that can like at will turn on or off different, DNA or functions in their body at will, because they just have control of their mind, their energy, their focus.
I think you guys would really like to read the we've talked about this before a million times, I think. The Celestine prophecy, the Peruvian manuscripts. And by the monks of Peru, it's all about this kind of stuff. Not to get conspiratorial, but the Peruvian government has done everything that they need to shut them down, But the information still gets out there. People
right.
Yeah.
Powered by it.
Well, and I think, and that's what they mean by like, how I always say, when I learned or read that, apocalypse actually translates to a slow increase of light until the dark is gone. And I think that really might coincide with knowledge. Like knowledge is slowly trickling down.
The light. It's just more of like poetic.
Yeah.
Knowledge trickle up.
They say, so there's things that like at the Vatican Church, these documents, these accounts of like children outside that accounted seeing, an apparition of, the Mother Mary coming to them and talking about certain things. But one of them, it's like the third one they won't release. They just refused to release whatever information was in there. And it said that like she talked about aliens. So I just have this fascination, like what is going on with that? You know what I mean? They're hiding it so hard. And it seems like, the level of technology and advancement these civilizations have, they say they've essentially vibrated and evolved out of evil. You know what I mean? Like they evolved past that. It's just
the
not
monks did.
The aliens, like these beings, like the extraterrestrials, right? They how advanced they are. If they were hostile.
It just reminds me of like, if you ever watch Ancient Aliens, how a lot of the things that they contribute to being biblical things is actually being aliens, not being like, you know, celestial beings, but the celestial being spoken about are alien beings. Makes you wonder, if you do look at it in that way, if the fact that we are humans and that the aliens or the angels, if you look at it in that perspective, are wondering about our ability to question, to go against, to not understand, to have freedom of will and choice, and the way that we behave. Maybe the human experience is that unique that even with advanced alien societies, we seem like an anomaly.
You guys think with the presence of evil and sentient species, I don't know if that's the correct term, conscious species, right? Presence of evil, would that allow that species to evolve? And if it did, what kind of species would it be at the end of that, right? With that ongoing, increasing level of evil, you know? I don't
Right.
watch a lot of movies, but I've seen some.
Well, without knowledge of evil, you wouldn't appreciate the light. So, okay, so there's beings out there that don't have any concept of darkness or evil
Talking
or
in evolution, though. So things are falling away and other things are coming up. You know what I'm
So
saying?
I've heard theories that, you know, your connection to God in your heart essentially is where that power comes from. And so there's an extent of power that you can have for
Power
evil,
is not privilege.
but that it sort of it caps out and it cuts off at a certain amount because you're separate from the creator. When you're at a distance, you know, you can utilize knowledge to have some sort of level of power, but it's not that it would be able to get to an extent, you know, if you were connected through unconditional love, through the heart, that's where really the real big power, the big guns from.
That's kind of like how you were stating in during the actual podcast, was like the level of like the apocalypse being like the knowledge, the light, God. The increase in that will make us diminish the dark. And what if that is being entwined with what these beings understand? If there are alien beings, maybe we're becoming more enlightened to them.
Consciousness. Yeah.
Higher vibration.
It's all,
I mean, it could be as simple as that.
Because it really is. I mean, if you think about it, a repeating theme is that in all kinds of religions and belief systems is that love is the answer. It's the only real thing, right? So the closer you are to love, unconditional love, right? For everything, everyone, that all encompassing forgiveness, just all those things, that's where power truly lies, where you're able to heal.
Righteousness is godlike.
Right. You can heal your body. You can, you know, have more power over things. Your words have more power. Everything you do has more power when you're in that energy of love, because it's truly the only real thing, they say, you know, it's the only thing that's real.
It's been right. It's been explained to me before. It's not just love and hate, but like on the hate spectrum is more the word lie. So lie of yourself, lie of your surroundings, like all these different words you can come up with. Jealousy stems from a lie. The misinterpretation of something stems from a lie. The way you communicate yourself in the world stems from a lie. All of it stems from the misunderstanding of something. And I think in our society today, it's running rampant. Lie in ourselves, to others, in society is perpetuating, and the darkness is trying to set in, all stem from lies. Like, if you think about it, the fact that we deal with anxiety, depression, all these things stem from something and within us that stems from a lie, which is what hate is derived from.
I
So
love
if
that
we can
analogy.
dispel a lie, if we can dispel the lies we tell ourselves, the lies we impose on others, being fake, being phony, power grabs, all these things that innately within our soul that only God can see within us is lies. So if we start being more honest with ourselves and being authentic, and everybody as a collective does that, it will show light and love and harmony and all the things that are opposite of hate and lies in this world.
Right. Everyone is innately good at the core. The evil things that people do stem from fear and pain, right? So if that being was healed from their pain and their fear, they wouldn't do the evil things. They would, you know what I mean? They wouldn't.
Truly inexcusable, or that's a story that we tell ourselves to make us feel more comfortable with death.
Right. A lot of things throughout history since the beginning of time is more what bedtime stories do we tell ourselves to make sense of it all? How much of it is just us trying to psychologically relate to understand? Because obviously there's things that are way above our comprehension. As throughout time as a human species, we've been telling ourselves to cope with things that we don't understand.
Right. Yeah.
Questioning the same as contemplating.
Yeah. He said questioning is the same as contemplating.
Is it though? Or is it not?
I think so.
Right. Yeah.
Because you can ask the question if you
Contemplate
want
something, you're not truly questioning.
How so?
Questioning all come from a more elevated state. Contemplation is
Well, isn't
more
it
of a
questioning
calm
part of
state.
contemplation? I think the questioning goes under the umbrella of contemplation. It's part of being able to contemplate something. I mean, it's a thought.
That's why I love After Hours.
I mean, do you have to know of it to contemplate it? You know what I mean? Does the questioning come first and then the contemplating?
Infection or growth.
Like it's like kind of like the Matrix.
Infection.
Am I really here? It starts with a question, and you start contemplating reality.
Right. Yeah. Hang on, I'll be right back.
You guys ever watch The Matrix?
I mean, you know what? It was really revolutionary for its time. The thought process of what if what we're seeing, sight, smell, touch, isn't really real? It's just the synapses, and we all really are not here. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's been more understandable since there's been an age of artificial intelligence and things like that to be able to be more relatable to movies like The Matrix. It makes even more sense as time goes by that could be a construct of reality.
You imagine one day there being a computer that could relate to you more than another person can.
Sometimes I think Google gets me more than people.
Right. It finishes your questions for you.
That's why I use DuckDuckGo.
DuckDuckGo. But I was contemplating with somebody actually this morning, there's that word, about how, so we as humans, now I am a Christian, but we were contemplating the idea of reincarnation. So like, what if we are all fallen angels and having a human existence is part of being that fallen angel, so that we can kind of speculate on the options of humanity, of overcoming things, having more appreciation for things, because you don't truly know anything until you go through it. You can't tell somebody what divorce is like until you actually go through it. You can't tell somebody what being adult is like until you're an adult. You know what I mean? So maybe it's the same thing as those who were angels went against the thought process of just getting God, had to go back through the process, had to go through a process or a trial, which is what our lives feel like we're in an anthill,
Right.
to go through this and learn different lessons to be able to appreciate things. And I know it's more of like a Buddhist thought process, like you have to like reach enlightenment to be able to not have to repeat the existence.
Right.
But I wonder that sometimes, because angels question humanity. They're like, why do you love these humans who can go against you and have all these abilities to not understand and that they come upon it by themselves? So that process of it is just interesting to think, like, what if that is a way that things work? Because I was watching some of these shows where people can remember their past lives. You know what I mean? Like past lives where they were like a fighter pilot and they can remember their deaths and they remember these things at 4 years old, things like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Pendulum swings, you know.
It just makes you wonder how much we don't know and how much we don't get. And if you ask somebody back in the day when we were just hunter and gatherers, the ability to be able to do half the things we do now, it would seem alien. It would seem godly. It would seem
Right.
all these things that
That's
we,
like that
you know,
change happens slowly and steadily over time, just as it does on an individual level. Like you can be at one place totally in life, like broken or heartbroken or whatever, and you feel like you just can't even ever imagine being happy again or healed again, right? And then it slowly, steadily, baby steps, steady over time. And then you turn around years later and to see the difference. And you're like, I was each and every step. When you thought you were just suffering, you were growing the whole time. And it just evolves into something more and more beautiful until it's not something painful or bad, you know? And I feel like that's how.
you think about like how, you know, how they say like the old wise person, like this person has all of these experiences and they can give you the best advice and they're the sweetest people. They have been through some shit.
Right.
Those who have not been through some shit seem to be so ignorant in their old age. But it's those who have been through trials and tribulations, learned a lesson, and can now share it with the world as a testimonial. It's like they've been through some of the worst shit and probably done the worst shit, but now they can use that as a power for themselves. It seems like those people are more wise than those who have not faced the hardship or faced the dark or had this option to go through hardship. You know what I mean?
Right.
Finding that balance is what's hard, right?
Right.
And I think on the way like some near-death experiencers have described it, or not a near-death experiencer, a guy who remembered before coming to the earth. He remembered as a soul. It's like our souls vibrate. They're just their essence, their vibrations, right? And he said, you know, he came across this soul that was just so bright and beautiful and free and expansive. And he's like, how did you get that? You know? And he's like, you know, I went to Earth. I experienced life there. You know, I learned lessons and I went through something hard there. And he's like, I want to do that. And he's like, yeah, everybody says they want to, but that saying it and doing it is totally different. And he was like, no, I want to. And he's like, okay, you know, talk to your guides, like, you know, set it up or whatever. And he said that he could remember when they put you in this, like they have to lower your vibration so massively. And like as a soul, it feels like just spiraling down, like, whoa, and it's like awful because we vibrate up here as a soul and you have to come so heavy, dense down into 3D, feeling so trapped. And he's like, I felt my memory fading in the womb. And he's like, I mustered all the power that I had to be like, nope, I'm not doing this. I am not doing this. And broke out of the veil, he said, because the veil starts to come over you. He broke out of the veil. And then he had a life review because he had to review all of the people that he hurt and everything, and the effect that baby not being born, that mother having that miscarriage, how it affected her, how it affected, and just ways it rippled out to distant people that knew her, the ways that it affected the world, him, you know, choosing not to go there.
It's interesting you say that, because through all the different religions and societies, you always still hear that there's some kind of review. There's some type of looking back on your life. So it's like, if this existence wasn't so important, we wouldn't even go through some kind of pearly gates or review or looking back on what we had lived. But you see that so constantly with all the different religions, societies throughout time, that everybody believes that at the end you're able to, even if it's just like okay, I had a near-death experience and my life flashed before my eyes, just that thought process of what you've done here has mattered to at least a point where you're reviewed over it at the end.
Yeah, because I think
it
it
at least
really
mattered enough for that to be a thing.
right. Because he said, you know, he got the option. He was like, it was the perfect life with the perfect, because there was what he said is that he was like, you know, how do I get there to where that soul is? And they're like, you know, they when you view the vibrations that you have as a soul, it's like, okay, this could be worked on, this lower vibration. And then what he said you do is you come to earth and you have to face that fear or whatever that negative vibration is, it manifests. And then you have to face that, whether it's overcome that or heal from that, or, you know what I mean, just resolve that in some way. And then I think that pretty much that's how the vibrations transform on a soul level, and it expands your soul when you come here and you experience this type of fear, this type of separation. And then the level of appreciation and of love and expansion that your soul has is greater for it, you know?
Imagine if fear didn't exist.
Do you think we're born with a veil? And then if we're born with a veil, right? Like, because he was hearing those things in the womb, right? So he was born without the veil.
Right, I don't think you do.
As humans, do we cognitively reach a state that allows us to hear our spirit more?
I think it does change, because you hear these stories about like animals and children being able to see things that adults can't, or children being able to have premonitions, or
be in
touch with things that once you become an adult, you're not able to get in touch with because of how much the world and society has affected you. So I feel like with children, that's why throughout not just scripture, but lots of cultures and throughout time, children are held in a whole different esteem.
Because veils self-imposed limitations. Do you guys ever feel that you have slipped out of your own personal veil of not being connected to God or the stars,
way that you originally
or the universe, or happiness?
Well, and what they say too is that the veil is necessary to live this life, because if we knew what was on the other side, who we really were, all that we've done, all that we've experienced, we would have zero interest in being on this earth. We wouldn't stay. We wouldn't focus. Why would you go and sit at your 9-to-5 job if you didn't feel like you needed the money, because you need to live and you need to survive?
Because we don't have the knowledge to
you're gonna be like, peace out, like, I'm out of here. Like, you know what I mean? You would have no desire. You wouldn't be able to function in this reality. So the veil is almost kind of a mercy on you to allow you to live this life out, because you wouldn't be able to otherwise. You wouldn't get to learn anything. Like if you face a fear, you don't have all this knowledge of that you're going to be fine. What's on the other side? You know what I mean? Like, that's why you face that fear. And if you didn't have the veil, would you really be facing a fear? Would you really get the courage that you get from doing it without knowing?
Experience, you know what I mean?
Right.
I just gotta say, this tuna sandwich my boyfriend made me is so good. I'm sitting here like, oh. No, but
gotta kill his own weight for me.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Homemade.
But it like made me think of
bad waiting for me. I don't even think I could eat. I'm gonna go roll out in and pass out.
No, but I mean, we always have good talks, and I don't even know how long we've been doing this after hours right now. But We love when you guys join us. We just break off on our tangents. Our after hours is the time to do that. So if there's something more you guys want to see us kind of discuss in the after hours, please comment, send us a message. We love all your feedback, and we always talk about the things you guys ask for. And just keep supporting us and watching us if you like what we're doing. If you like what you're hearing. And we love you guys. And you guys have a good night. Happy New Year's. Happy Valentine's Day. And
Everything.
after hours it up. Be you.
Bye.
Peace.